with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. This is the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors. It is Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019. We have an agenda here in front of us. Do we have any motions?
I so move that we accept this agenda.
Second.
Barb has made a motion to approve. Stanley has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We want to also here approve the minutes of the April 16th meeting and the claims.
So moved to accept the minute.
Barb has made a motion
And the claims?
and the claims.
Excuse me, yes.
Second.
Stanley has seconded. Roll call. Barb?
Aye.
Stanley?
Aye.
Smolik, aye. So. Pay the bills. County Attorney General discussion. You're in the hot seat, I'll let you.
What would you like to discuss?
Russ Gephardt?
I know nothing about this.
I got a phone call yesterday. It sounds like he's bringing stuff back in. There's a couple of refrigerators with the doors on them. Anyway, somebody made a suggestion that we might want to jump on that bandwagon. Apparently his fence is blowed down and is being propped up for the moment. What's your thoughts?
Well, first off, I'd send Mark Ross out there, take some pictures, see what it looks like. I guess, like I always say, my opinion means nothing anymore after we tried going cash and the judge said that's not a nuisance. So I guess my opinion of what constitutes a nuisance and what doesn't constitute a nuisance doesn't mean much of anything. So I would say get a hold of Mark, have him take some pictures, and go from there.
Okay.
Have Mark come back, send everybody copies of the pictures, and put it on the agenda for next week.
All righty.
Well, on that property, I understand that what he's moved, a lot of what he moved down to Kevin John's property. So it's just moving it from one property to the other, I guess. And it was told to me by Kevin himself. And then there are two houses in town that are gonna be torn down, and they had, this is all told to me by, they had, like almost a brand new furnace, almost a brand new air conditioning, almost brand new refrigerator, brand new stove. Anyway, they went to see the people that bought the houses, and they said, they're gonna tear them down. They said, take anything you want. So Russ went in and took a bunch of stuff there. So he continues to, take
It's
stuff.
accumulating.
Yeah, and the thought was that, well, when some people need some almost new, but they can't afford brand new, that he could sell it. Well, I don't know, I'm just telling you, but that's
Okay, well,
what I hear out there.
I will get in touch with Mark and we'll see what his plans are. If we get him to go out there and sniff around, take some pictures. And he can report to us next Tuesday, I guess.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that was one of my phone calls yesterday.
Yeah. Of all the jobs I do, that's probably the least enjoyable. A nuisance, because there's such a fine line between, hey, it's my property, we live in the United States, I can do what I darn well want to with it. I got the right to do that, and where does it become a nuisance?
Well, this person jumped right off the bat, the wildlife out there. The skunks and the woodchucks. He brought it to my attention if one of them bites his grandchildren, he will come after me. And I said, hey, it's...
You can bring a private action if you want to abate the nuisance.
Well, it's Mother Nature's world. I mean, The critters that are there, you can't prove they come from Russell's. It could be from the river, could be from the woods, could be from the swamp, could be from the neighbor's building. They probably are Russell's, but we can't prove that. Yes, Betty?
Does your ordinance say though that something has to be fenced?
Yes, it does.
And I am gonna tell you that, you know, he has those steel
Well,
fences,
it's
and
blowed over.
they're all falling in.
It's blowed over.
Yeah, well, he's taken some stuff that was supporting him away, and anyway, they're all falling in. So it's, you know,
Okay. Well, we'll move on with this anyways. I will get in touch with Mark and we'll have something up for next Tuesday. Anyways, how about, the policy for public use money?
Like I said, this is just something I put together, I'm not especially proud of it. If you want to make wholesale changes to it, I don't have any problems with that. This is something to just get started as a framework, to add, to delete, whatever you want to do.
Well, I guess my concern would be item 2. And I would like to scratch item 2 in its entirety for, you know, a few years ago, basically it was by Orchard on the trout stream, and I asked you if the county could put a load or two of rock on private property at that time, because again, it was just a real muddy situation, and it was basically, even though it was private property, they were allowing the public to fish, especially older people, and you know, it was causing a problem for older people, and at that time, you said you had no problem with that. And, but I mean, where would something like that fit into item 2? I don't see where it would fit in. And the same then as, we had a week or two ago, Jennifer Andrea come here, wanting us to discuss the possibility of trying to help on determining if there are individuals from Puerto Rico wanting to come up and work here, because we have really almost a crisis on trying to get labor here. And so does almost all of North Iowa, for that matter, in that. And then again, where would that item, it really wouldn't, because that's first of all nonprofit. She is profits, but it's helping her. It would be helping the various companies that, and I believe we are losing opportunities for expansion, or even new companies coming, just because, again, of the labor shortage. So, I mean, that's my concerns on item 2. I don't know if you want to address that.
I don't have a problem at all with it. It's gonna be your policy, it's not mine.
But I
what
mean,
is item 2?
Item 2 is all applications must provide a copy of its 501, paren C, paren 3, paren letter, provide a copy of 990 tax returns for the past 3 years and current balance sheet. I mean, again, I think if we have a request and they try to explain why they feel that it should be funded for a public purpose, and if you look it over and you feel the same thing, then again, it doesn't necessarily mean the board will fund it, but at least we can consider it. I mean, is that fair enough?
Like I said, it doesn't matter to me, it's your policy.
Well, but I mean, I don't,
Yeah,
I mean, I want something that you're gonna feel comfortable with.
well, as far as I'm concerned, you don't need anything at all, but as far as the auditor is, you need some type of a written policy. So,
Right. So if we would just scratch number 2, and how does the board feel?
Barb?
I would be fine with that. The only other way is, you know, put one of those, you know, stipulations that we have the right to
Request.
do one-by-one consideration, but it'd probably be easiest just to take it off.
I mean, basically, like I say, each consideration would go to the county attorney, and if he feels, you know, if he can feel like he's justified in saying it's public purpose, then we'll take a look at it and.
But it also helps us when we are getting so many requests. If that's in there, that certainly would help us to say no.
I mean, we could put something into the effect that if you are a 501c3 corporation, please provide those documents. Or I can take it out, it doesn't matter to me.
I guess I would be for that, if you are 501, I would be happy with that. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be in there, but Barb is right, if there is a situation where we would have a concern, that would be helpful also in saying, well, no. So, I would be for changing it to, if you are a 501 corporation, provide that. Barb, Stan, comments?
Again, I could easily live without it, I mean, I could just drop it.
I'm not sure if you are, what's the point of that?
Well, so the person who comes in and wants rock put on his private property, or Stan suggested we put rock there, it's just a private individual. He's not a 501c3 corporation, where the request from Stacy Glenn Daycare, I'm certainly assuming they are a 501c3 corporation, so they'd be treated differently. And then some people will say, well, you're making a 501c3 corporation who's already been approved to go through more work than somebody who hasn't been approved by the government, so.
Yeah, I guess I don't really see the point of
Amanda?
why it would be put in.
How many people who are not a 501c3 actually request money? You know what I mean? Like if you say, if it's a 501c3, that's gonna be 9 out of 10 cases. So you might as well leave it in there then. You know what I mean?
No. We could either take it out or leave it in.
And
Well, again, this past couple of weeks, I was down to the trout stream north of St. Ansgar on the west side of the railroad track. And you could see that the stocking truck about got stuck trying to get to because the mud was so deep. And it was nothing that the state was going to ask for. You know, the truck is going to get stuck in it. They just aren't going to stop and stock the stream.
No.
And so it was one of those things that a load of rock would do wonders, and it's a public access again is what they're allowing. It's posted as a public access. No, I'd just as soon leave it out altogether, because there aren't that many requests that we really have, and 3 or 4 of them a year are for helping town celebrations, and we use our share of the hotel motel tax that we have to use 50% of it for tourism, and so otherwise we really don't hardly use our tourism money.
Devil's advocate here. If they are a 501c3, would it be beneficial to us to see those tax returns? And if they have a lot of extra money, why are they asking us for money?
That was kind of my thought. Now, I doubt if most 501c3s are going to have a bunch of extra cash or extra money laying
Most
around,
likely not.
but some of them may. And that was my
So-
thought.
so
All of a
maybe-
sudden, you're requesting 30, and I'm not looking at you. You know, somebody's here requesting $50,000, and you get a copy of their balance sheet, and they've got $100,000 sitting in the bank.
So maybe I would go more along with Steve's of leaving that if you have them.
but not a requirement. I mean, like I say, if,
Yeah, if you are a 501c3 corporation, the board can or may request a copy of the following.
yeah, I would say
There.
may
Okay, that's-
request.
All right, I'll put that together and I'll shoot you a copy, correcting the spelling.
Do we need this in resolution form? So it's,
Well, once we get it to the point where everybody says, okay, I agree with it now, then we'll put it into a resolution. But now I'm just
yeah,
throwing out language.
So, but everything else, the rest, everybody looks happy with it. Any other public comment on this?
Oh, I do, is it necessary to put past 3 years when just the past year?
That's fine, doesn't matter.
yes, Betty.
Well, I guess the other thing I would say that there might be a startup, entity that wouldn't have 3 years of tax
Yeah.
returns because of the
Correct.
startup, and they'd be a 501c3.
We'll have it modified for 1 year. So if not, if we have no more comments on this, we'll let Mark write up some changes and we'll proceed in the future on this.
Well, maybe if he has it available for next week, why don't we put it for possible action?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Any other comments for Mark?
Yeah, just briefly, because it has something, trying to do some housing up in the St. Ansgar area. You want to real briefly go through Iowa law on an irrevocable trust? What that really kind of means?
Define briefly.
Well, I mean, what's the parameter? I mean, can land be sold under an irrevocable?
If it's in an irrevocable trust, the land is in an irrevocable trust or not?
Yes, the land is in an irrevocable trust.
Okay. You have to look at the irrevocable trust agreement itself, because the irrevocable trust agreement may give the trustee to sell the real estate. Okay? And there may be a provision in there that says the trustee can't sell the real estate. Then you get into the provision of, and this is just one of these laws that nobody can understand, okay? Because the Supreme Court's all over the place on it, which is, the language is, Iowa abhors restrictions on the alienation of land, okay? Which means they don't want to say, okay, I'm selling you this property, Stan, but you can never put a hog confinement building up on that property, okay? Or I'm selling you this land and you can never sell it to anyone that's related to Steve Smollett, okay? Well, sometimes they say, okay, those restrictions are fine. Sometimes they say they're too restrictive. Sometimes they say they're fine, but the restriction that it can't be sold to anybody who's related to Steve Smollett is only good for 20 years. Because they say if you put restrictions on land and let them run forever, eventually you're going to get to the point where no land in Iowa will ever be able to be sold or used again.
Correct.
So that's the problem, and it's somewhat like someone comes into me and they've been in an automobile accident and they've got a broken arm. And they said, what's a broken arm worth? And I said, it's whatever the jury says it's worth. Because one jury might say it's worth $5,000 and the next jury might say it's worth $1 million. There's not a book that you can put. Now you can look at jury verdicts and see the ranges they've awarded over the past, 10 years in Iowa. But there's no book that the jury looks at when they go into award damages. They just sit around and think, okay, what's it worth? Pain, suffering, can you still play golf? Can you still work? So the thing is, you have to look at the trust agreement first. If the irrevocable trust doesn't say they don't have the authority to sell the land, then they have the authority to sell the land. If they say it can't sell the land, then you run into restrictive, and the court should strike that provision.
Does that irrevocable trust have to be filed, like with the recorder or that, so?
Well, the property would need to be deeded to the irrevocable trust,
Okay,
okay? So that deed should be on record. But the trust itself, no, that's the theory behind the trust, is you don't have to make that public.
so,
Let's just say you wanted to buy land from the irrevocable trust. You'd have to say to them, I need either to see the trust document itself, or if you don't want to make that public, I need a certification that the trustee has the authority to sell the real estate and that there's no provisions in the trust that place restrictions on the trustee selling the real estate. So, because 9 times out of 10, that's why people do these trusts, is they don't want the stuff public, they want it private,
okay,
so. That answer your question?
I believe so,
Okay.
more or less.
More or less.
Well, we got a mess up there, that's, I'll leave it at that right now.
Okay.
But, the other thing that I would suggest to the chair is that we move item 6 next while the county attorney is here.
All righty.
If we're done with the county attorney.
I don't hear anybody else. Mark, I think you can give Amanda the hot seat.
So I'm playing 2 different roles, daycare mom, but then also the Stacyville Kids Care Insurance agent. So at the beginning of the year, if they do this every 3 years, we had an inspector come through and obviously look at the building to make sure it meets the codes of the insurance company. They have deemed our kitchen not safe, does not meet their codes. The policy renews June 30th of 2019, and if we don't make the below changes, we have to close the daycare essentially until we can make those changes. So we have to, they're requiring that we put in an ANSEL system in our kitchen, which is very similar to what any restaurant would have when you have an open, burner, open flame, whatever the case is. So we are looking into, so the daycare is actually held in the old school building. So the kitchen has the original appliances from 1953. So we have created a committee, which I am not on, I'm just here representing them, to kind of get some pricing, figure out what it is that we need to do. Well, we have a price on what it would cost to put an ANSEL system over the existing equipment. Well, half of it doesn't work anyway. It's old, it's irrelevant. So we have a quote on what it would cost to replace all new with the ANSEL system, because we fear that in the 3 years when the insurance, or basically inspector comes, they're gonna say, you need to replace this, you need to replace this as it gets older and more obsolete. So the plan right now is to actually replace all of the appliances and put the ANSEL system over every single appliance to meet and go above the guidelines that the insurance company is actually putting in place. So we're kind of in a little bit of a hard place, because yes, we would love to apply for grants, but this has to be done before June 30th. So unfortunately, we've passed most of the spring deadlines for grants. We cannot wait until this fall for the second round of, grant applications. So, and the other thing as well is we have a quote for the actual appliances themselves. We do not have a quote for any like electrical work or water work, plumbing, anything that would have to be done to get this ANSEL system in place. So when I say that I request $36,000, that is a high number, we're guessing, because the appliances have only come up to $26,000. So I decided to just go ahead and throw in an extra $10,000 to make sure that we have electrical work and plumbing covered. And then I would be more than happy to give that money back that we do not use. Because I don't think it's right that we keep it in, I just want to take what we'll actually use more than willing to turn in bills for you guys, you know, as needed to prove that this is what it was. So, again, we would love to apply for grants, we would love to do that, but we're in a hard place because this needs to get done now.
Can you give us a kind of summary of where you've been standing the past couple of years on the financial end? I mean, what kind of revenue do you take in? What are the expenses? I would take it, like you said earlier, that probably there is no big balance, but can you give us kind of a brief?
I don't know the specifics of the daycare finances. I am gonna say that they don't have a huge savings account. They don't have a whole lot of expenses, but they don't have a whole lot of income. I mean, it's gonna be pretty equivalent to what the other daycares in the county would, show. But I know that we're not hurting, like we can't pay our bills, but I know that there's not a huge slush fund for a new kitchen.
How many families do they serve and a waiting list?
We serve about 40 different families. There is a waiting list, I don't know exactly how many, but for the baby room as well as the top room. So,
Mark, comment?
Okay, if we thought about giving you the 26,600, would you be able to come up with the rest? Because you said they probably have a little bit.
yeah, I don't see that's a problem. Stacyville is always very good about helping their community. We've got well over $300,000 in donations for different projects, various, locations in the last 4 years. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just a matter of doing it in a time frame.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if they see that you have everything in place, that they give you a little extension, I would guess.
Well,
I don't know, but.
yeah, we're hoping so, but we also don't want to tread light water. So,
Kristen?
That was going to be my question about fundraising. What fundraising efforts have you done, like Osage Community Daycare was required to do, before they were ever able to really get any help with their program?
Well, this sounds like this was an emergency situation, so they really don't have much chance of fundraising on it, Crystal.
so our adjuster actually came in, not adjuster, inspector came in January. And of course, with the weather, getting a committee created and actually getting somebody in to estimate so on and so forth was delayed. So, it's completely out of our control as, the time frame that we're in. So no, zero fundraising has been done.
Betty?
Well, a couple things. The 26,000, that'd be great. And I remember when you gave to the Osage Daycare, which, I thought the community themselves could have raised all that money. And I'm giving to the Osage Daycare, But I remember it being said, and Barb, you weren't on the board then, that when other daycares came up, that they would look at the requests. And what I was thinking was the 26,000 for appliances and so on, and what about looking at the remainder of the cost as them presenting bills and then just paying what that cost is instead of granting 36,000 and then having them give money back? What about looking at something like that too? It's another option.
But she sounded like you could
I
probably
understand
come up
that.
with the 10.
No, I understand that.
Well, and I'm not even sure that it's gonna be 10,000. I know that the
But you can
appliances,
probably
our
come
quote
up
is
with
gonna be
What's
26,000.
above that?
That includes labor, but it's the electrical and plumbing, which,
Always go, because St. Ansgar can't take them. Osage could maybe take a few, but not enough to even begin to cover the needs. And so we have a worker shortage in Mitchell County, and some of those people, if they can't get daycare, they're gonna look for jobs elsewhere where they can live and have daycare. So it really causes quite a problem if they would have to shut down.
I'm not even sure Osage could take them.
well, and that's
From
the
what
same
I've heard,
argument
they
that
really
Osage
built up.
made.
No,
you know,
but
like
I'm
when
hearing
they
that
were-
everything isn't 100%, but it's getting close.
Yeah.
And so, again, what would happen if they shut down? We gotta look at that aspect too, and that really hasn't been addressed this morning.
No,
It seems like there's a little question after having given to the Osage Daycare and the comment that was made, and Steve, you were on that, weren't you? And that, that when something came up with Riceville, St. Ansgar, or Stacyville, that those needs would be looked at and, you know,
I think Betty, at the time, we had a question with Riceville because their daycare
I
was
understand. No,
over
I know
the
that,
county line.
but they serve people in both, yeah. No, I understand that.
And I guess the next step is, County Attorney Walk, is this a public purpose?
I believe that it certainly, yeah, it could be considered a public purpose.
Okay, everybody's had a comment with me, I'm gonna give my comment. I voted for the 150 for the Osage. At the time, I wasn't real thrilled about it, but to make Joe happy, make Stan happy, I voted for it. And in our promise, it was stated that it would go, monies would be set aside for Stacyville and St. Ansgar if it was used for the daycare. I'm not an Indian giver. We have to give money to the daycare at Stacyville. So,
I'll make one correction, I was not happy to vote for it, but I did vote for it.
yeah, you know, and this is there is a situation between, you know, public and county on that, but we went with it for Osage. We have to support Stacyville.
And I'm not asking 150,000. I mean, like, we of course have a space issue, just like Osage did. We very well could go through the process of building a new building to meet all the needs that we have. We know that that's not feasible. We're not here asking for 150,000.
So, do we have any motions for support of this?
I would move that we give the 26,600 rather than the 36,600. Because I just think that everybody needs to help support themselves too. And she said that she's pretty sure they have some extra.
Okay, so you've made a motion for the 26,600. Do I hear a second?
I would second that with the understanding that it gets to be the 1st of June and you haven't been able to raise that money. I think we have to take a second look at what is happening, because, again, I can't see that we can, in the county, afford to have that closed down with the repercussions that it could cause.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, Howard,
Aye.
Stanley,
Aye?
Smollett, aye. So,
Good luck, thank you kindly for coming in.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
thank you, County
Good luck.
Attorney Watt, for sticking around.
thank you, Mark.
Talk to Greg about it.
Okay?
Okay.
Steve, if you could maybe just jump ahead to Rich or something.
Yeah, we'll let Rich have a
Thank
hot
you.
seat then.
Morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Here we have a couple things. We can go see her. I don't know if the road conditions thing is out of it. I would encourage if there's road condition problems, to call the engineer's office if that's so desired. I don't know that we can bring any road condition up at a board meeting, but if there's questions, they can certainly call. If there's issues, we can address them at the engineer's office. The second thing I have is review and possible action for engineering contract for Kirkwood and Hickory roads. We've been discussing needing wider right of ways and total reconstruction because the roads are completely junk. So I have two professional services agreements from WHKS. They're billed hourly and estimated fees for Hickory South, just north of the railroad tracks to south, the 465th. Estimated fee of $24,416, billed hourly, so that could be fluctuate a little bit. And then for Kirkwood, $52,456, same type of agreement, same hourly bill. What these agreements do is they go out and they'll do
existing topographic survey on the roadways, right-of-ways. Once they get the topographic survey done, they evaluate what's there and what we can fit into that corridor that meets the current requirements for design of new roads. And if it's needed, from that original engineering, this is kind of the bulk of the project right now, is to first find out what we need, and then after what we find out we need, then they'll have a preliminary design kind of done already, but then the legwork begins, is if we need to get right away, then we gotta hit that avenue of acquiring right away if we need it. Other environmental things that have to take place once you go outside the original right of way, there's archaeological stuff, and things like that, so it adds more cost to it, but, these agreements now are just to get the bulk of the information so we know which direction to head.
Okay. Now, you said on Hickory, you start from the railroad tracks going south.
It'll be a little bit north of the railroad tracks, south.
Okay, because we
We've had that
promised
discussion.
to go past the bend.
Yep, and so that's in that agreement. To
Okay.
Go just north of Totterville is what I called it, so. that's
Okay.
that. And then the other one is from 465th to the state line on Kirkwood.
When you're having them look at this, are you having them look at it with, understanding that we're going to be doing blacktop, or understanding that we're doing cement?
Right now, it does not matter what we're doing.
Okay,
It's a matter of getting the required roadway width and right of way, but I'm gonna promote concrete to these, I'm not gonna.
thank you.
I think with the traffic we got on, I know there's places for asphalt, I'll use asphalt when I see fit, but I prefer concrete, and so, but with the traffic we've got on, I think concrete would be a good fit for it, so. But for now, it's a matter of the cross sections fitting into the current right of way, which I don't believe will work, but,
Well, the thing about concrete again is, I mean, you take a look at the super slab, that was laid in 1976, and Stacyville part from Stacyville to 218 was laid in 78. And, you know, basically, again, we're coming on 40-some years, and they're still good roads.
you can make asphalt last quite a long time too if it's built properly. It's just that, you know, back in the days these roads were putting in, they weren't thinking of big thick cross sections to make asphalt more perpetual, so. You can utilize both.
That west of Statesville was poured really muddy.
Yeah, they were pulling equipment to do that.
That was,
Well, that's why it's wavy, I mean, it was wavy to begin with,
it
it
would have
wasn't.
been awfully tough to lay down asphalt on that. Anyways, your cost was 52,000 what on Kirkwood?
52,456 estimated cost, you build out hourly. And then we use the IRS mileage rate, and then the other one was 24,460.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, Stan, Bart,
Aye.
Smollett, aye. So this motion is passed. Okay,
I wanted to just inform the other supervisors, we got an email from Congresswoman Abby Finkenmeyer, and I did send that email on to Rich, because she wanted to know any priorities that we had for infrastructure, you know, what kind of money is needed in more places, more than others. And so he has agreed that he would work on it. I encouraged it because I personally know her, and she's young, enthusiastic, and I know she's really gonna try hard to actually get some of this to go through. And I think we should take advantage of her freshness and newness.
And what I explained to Barb was, it might not
is
be,
that what you wanted to sign?
yep, that's perfect. It might not be specific, hey, this bridge, that bridge, but more of a general. And we've been battling a lot of things lately with Iowa legislature on load limits and things like that. And maybe priorities as far as what we want to focus on. We want to focus more on bridges, we want to focus more on roads. Things of a hierarchy of what we need versus
And I think
this
that's what
bridge,
she
that
wants,
bridge,
more
right.
general.
More general, what we're looking at for that, so.
Well, and Supervisor Francis, I would also suggest that you forward that to Manager Burns of OMU, because he has stated before that fiber is something, you know, and that falls under infrastructure.
I certainly will, I totally agree
And
with
so,
that.
he can make his case for, infrastructure here on fiber.
Sounds good, I'll take care of that.
Thank you.
Also, 10-hour days will start next week, just so you guys are aware of that. And then, last Friday, I believe it was, you may or may not have gotten, I sent out, and it may have looked suspicious, so after going through your guys' cyber training, and I'll, I sent out, Stan had already signed up, but there's a website, iowacountyroads.org,
Yep, I got it.
and, it's a place to set up a link so you get, I wanna try to utilize this more for getting public notification on road closures and detours and things like that. It's basically a county 511 system that we're trying to merge with the state 511 system for road closures and road conditions. It's pretty involved, but I think we can try to utilize that a little bit better for public notice on projects and things like that versus trying to send a notice out all the time. What we can, I talked to EMA this morning too a little bit about maybe they can sign up for it, set a wings out too if it doesn't become very popular, but that website is a generic website right now. It tells you who to contact for your county engineer, things like that, but the 511 system, the road notification tools, and when we're linking Service Bureau website up to that website so that people get the notification. What you get is you'll get a notification whenever I decide to send it out, whether it's a week before, prior, whatever, depending on the project, and it'll give you a brief description of what's happening. It'll give you a roadway map of what's closed and what the potential detour route is, or what the detour route is, depending on what we're doing. And so it just informs people, and I know there are a few people that have signed up for it, and lately it hasn't really been utilized very well, but with projects, I wanna try to be better at notifying the public on certain things like that, so it's just something I wanna try to utilize and improve on it, so if you guys sign up for it, you wanna send that.
Well, I see this morning Hancock County had, foreclosures, actually closures on, because the gravel roads were in such bad shape that, it was just, like I say, little stretches, but still, I mean.
It'll be difficult if we get a flooding situation where things are down for 24 hours, it's probably not worth putting all that into, but if we have severe damage where it's down for a week or more than a week, we can put that on that system and then monitor it, and when they come clean, when they get repaired, we can take it back off the system.
It's extra work for you, but I think it'd be worth it.
I think it is too, and once we get used to using it a little bit more.
Yeah. What's that website called
It's,
again?
I believe it's kind of iowacountyroads.org. I can verify that in another email, but if you can.
Yeah, my wife got it, and she kinda looked at that, and I kinda.
Look suspicious, I know that the
Yeah.
board in Worth County didn't sign up for it because we have our cyber training and our IT guy likes to send out random emails and
I
they thought
know.
it was suspicious, so they didn't sign up.
Exactly.
So I sent out another email saying this is not a spam thing or a
We're all
cyber-
paranoid.
Yeah, right, no, and that's great, because when I was doing it before, it was, I can only send one link out at a time, and I can't make any comments when the link got sent out and say,
Yes.
this is safe. So, what I did yesterday was send out, I attached the web link, and then I was able to tell you where to go to sign up for it, and then just say, hey, this isn't a trap, so.
Okay, well,
But,
I guess I have to sign up for it.
Yeah.
you'll get an email, and it gives you some pretty good information, and a lot of it's general, like, construction is always, we've got estimated dates, but things may carry on longer, they may be shorter, but just so there's just some knowledge of what's happening.
Well, it's gonna be great for somebody like me that if I have to go to Teope down by Waterloo with a busload of kids, I mean, if 63 is closed, I gotta figure out another route, and I
As
don't
long
wanna,
as they're
I
part
don't
of
wanna.
it.
And what will be really great is once we are able to merge it with the DOT 511, I think then it becomes more of a, I think a lot of that stuff shows up on your GPS navigation systems, where if you're traveling, it might show up as, anybody traveling, because right now I don't think there's an avenue for us to do that. I think the DOT stuff automatically goes there, I'm not positive on that, but I think it does.
Okay.
So, anyway, just some food for thought there, though. We're out blading and we're out trying to take care of business today while we've got moisture.
Quick comment, I got another call from Lori Belichick of that bridge.
Yep, we've got it, they're supposed to, okay, with WHS, and we're supposed to come through and inspect those two bridges south of it. There's a couple bridges there, so we've looked at them.
Okay, so I can just mention to her that it's on the list to be inspected.
We've got eyes on them.
We have a spot that's just south of Brownsville there, from the big curve on top of the hill there, south of Jeremy Hoagie's.
Okay.
There's a crossroad pipe there by the gas line, where the gas line crosses. I'm gonna have them go and check on that.
I will.
Last night I drove over and it seemed like it settled quite, I mean, it's a rough bump about, so just in case the pipe's undermined and she's going bad under, have him check it out,
Yep. We'll do that.
so.
Yeah, because she actually said caving in on that one too, part of it.
Well, we had. Okay.
Because I was thinking that you thought that that was gonna have some, but she checked
She's got
just
it.
recently and it wasn't brought in yet.
That's the same one you both talked about then.
No,
No.
You're talking
I'm
about.
talking about Lori.
Lori, yeah.
And I guess our other person hasn't come yet on discussing the road conditions, so.
Well, Mike, when I saw it, I thought, roads were sloppy, roads are rough, we're doing what we can, we've got the weather to do it, so.
Yep. I guess that's
We
all.
continue until they're done. I mean, they're never done, but.
Well, and just to be real transparent, I did ask Richie to do some volunteer work, not as a county engineer, but as a private citizen on a drainage issue up at St. Ansgar. He came after his hours and that. And we had quite a discussion, this and that. I furnished a beer and
This was after hours.
it was after hours, and he did not have the company truck. So, in any event, I just want to make, if somebody ever hollers that, no,
I don't see
it was
a
on his
problem
own.
with it.
I'm not
That's
providing
between you.
professional engineering
That's
services,
between
just
you two.
opinions, so.
But I mean, if somebody, likes to yip on some of the stuff that they hear about it, well, I just want to make perfectly clear. that he
After
was on his
hours
own.
on your time,
My
that's
personal
between
time,
you two.
my
That's-
personal, yep.
And,
But it wasn't professional services because I'm not allowed to do that. I'm employed by the county, I'm covered under your guys' insurance. I don't have my own private insurance, so it's just basically opinions and observations is what it's providing, so it's.
but it was very good, it was very helpful, so. And again, with Sheriff Beaver, why don't you guys try to get those signs, at least a couple of those signs up?
I've contacted Sheriff and whenever he's ready.
I think he knows where at least two of them want to go, so.
Yeah, we're gonna stay in contact whenever he's ready to do it, we'll do it. Don't talk about it, so we gotta do one call, so we're gonna do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Rich. I have nothing else. Nobody else
Appreciate
has anything for Rich. We'll let him go. And we'll let Greg have the hot seat.
Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
And Mark. I don't have a whole lot. We're holding 5 this morning. We'll take one to Mitchellville after court this morning and one to Buchanan County, so let guys on the road, hauling inmates. Well, the truck in the Cedar River, that was a distracted driving case. So, got your phone, I guess. All I can tell people are up in the Cedar River.
I bet that was
We had a
a
good
ride.
weekend. Yeah, I guess it was. The fire service did a good job. The deputies did a good job getting him out of the truck and out of the river. Good fellow, about 275 pounds, so it wasn't real easy, but they got him. So, anyway, that went well. Looking forward, we'll have the Tahoe, probably to get rid of sometime July, I suppose. I don't know, just a suggestion. I looked, walking by Dave's pickup the other day. One of the first ones that, we kept with the county, kept it in service within our department. It looks pretty rough. I don't know if Dave would have, use for a Tahoe or not. And that pickup works well for him. But we have the Tahoe to go this year, and then next year we'll be back with a pickup available for the department, wherever. So just be thinking along those lines. I don't have any ideas on that Tahoe. We can go wherever and we can sell it, whatever you guys think and ladies think is best. I don't care, but that'll come up sometime like July probably.
Is there something the conservation would like to use that for, Stan?
I would have no idea right off, I mean, again,
Yeah,
if
just
you
give us.
see Adam, give him a heads up.
Yeah.
I'm sure the road department has no need for it whatsoever.
Yeah, it's, pickups work the best for
Yeah.
a lot of the work that we do. The roof issue over there, is that, getting any estimates, what are we doing there? Any thoughts?
Right now, I haven't heard anything. I will get in touch with one of my contacts and we'll see how that's working out. No, I haven't heard a thing
Okay,
yet.
fair enough. Yeah. So really, that's all I have, unless you guys have.
What are they in
things
for
me.
this morning?
Let's see. We brought one from Mitchellville on Monday, an email. She's back here for a sentencing in a felony case. And then she'll go back to Mitchellville today. We have one that's violated sex offender registry, lived up here, got arrested for the same thing in Buchanan County, depends on what we do down there. So he's back here, so appearance on that case. One overnight for drugs, one doing 20 days of a 120-day sentence for contempt of court on an environmental issue. He was all over the newspaper.
Is that tires?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it is tires. He doesn't like being with us, and in particular here to have been with us, but
No, he's
he's
not a
gonna do his,
friendly fellow.
he's gonna do his 20 days, one way or the other. So that's kind of where we're at over there with. So,
Any other
Did those-
comments for sure?
Did those tires get hauled out, do you know, or?
no, they're still sitting.
What's gonna actually happen? I mean, how is that?
Well, the
gonna
court
proceed?
order says now, after his 20 days, that he needs to begin cleaning up and paying the fine that's been assessed against him. Provide to the clerk of court, at the beginning of each month, copies of receipts that he's properly gotten rid of the tires, and make payment to the court, which I don't believe he'll be able to do. And then, when he fails to abide by the court, they'll issue what they call a minimus, which is in order for me to pick him up, so he does the rest of his 100 days. So that's coming. I don't think he has any means of cleaning it up, so.
So what happens to the tires that, I mean, do you have any idea?
I do not.
I mean, is this something that the DNR would eventually end up paying for, or?
Is this gonna become a county liability?
Well, those are probably questions we need to put to Mark, because I don't know if the state of Iowa would, enter an order that the place is cleaned up and they do it, or once he's done his 120 days, it falls back on the county. That's something we need to check with Mark, on how that plays out in the future.
If you're talking to Mark this week, why don't you ask him about that and then report back, if you would, please?
I will. I would imagine that if we get a local complaint, it probably becomes a local issue, just like some of our other folks.
That
But
could
I
be
will-
expensive,
I
I mean, that
will
could be
ask
spendy
Mark.
for us, because
Yeah.
there's thousands of tires there.
There are.
Yes.
And at $3 a pop or whatever they charge, why?
Yeah.
Yes, Betty.
Well, this relative of the same person, when I was on the board, had probably thousands and thousands of tires. You might check back, see, I don't know whatever happened to that, but I think that person, does this person now people pay them to take their tires for disposal?
That's what my understanding
Yeah,
was,
I
is
think he might.
I think he undercut, I mean, like,
That's what I mean, yeah.
and so,
But anyway, there was that issue up there on the state line, and the pictures are right, oh, give those to Greg.
yeah, take them along here.
That was probably the grandfather of this guy or whatever, but, anyway, and that was back in the 70s, and there were just thousands and thousands of tires, and he had a fence of tires, and they were at least that high, I think, and then he had artificial flowers stuck in them, and he called it his living fence, so it was like, it was fine,
Sure.
But anyway, somehow those got disposed of, and isn't that where the ethanol plant is now?
Well,
Yes,
that
it
was
is.
part of why we pushed fairly hard to get the ethanol plant on that site, because then we did get it cleaned up and,
But who cleaned it up, see?
we paid, I believe, $19,000 or something, do you remember, Lowell? But I mean, it was like, because we done the trucking in that, if I'm not mistaken, on a lot of that to the.
Some of it went up to Austin and some of it went to the landfill out here. That quit taking up at Austin and we ended up taking it here at the
state. There were some places that took tires and they stayed.
But they probably don't
That
take
that
them for
use
free.
them, I mean, they could grind them up and, yeah, I don't know, you might check.
Sheriff paper, she does not want the pictures back, so don't.
No, I don't want them. I was gonna throw them away, but I just thought, when this name came up, I found this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Greg. If there's
All right,
nothing
you're welcome.
else for Greg, we're ready to get back to work.
Thank you, Sheriff Beaver.
Thank you.
Good day. Yep, welcome.
I think it's Shelley Russell's time to have the hot seat.
You guys should just stand then.
Good morning, Director Russell.
Where are you guys? So, I thought it would be just great for you guys to have kind of a copy of some pictures that we took yesterday of the front entrance. So
You've made a lot of changes since I've been down
You
there.
won't recognize
you
it.
won't recognize it as wonderful. So
It
we
is
did
beautiful.
open the front entrance, and so we're excited about that. So we're getting close in the front. We opened the Sunnyside Cafe on last Friday. We did pour the south drive for the main entrance last Thursday, so it is blocked off right now. It is kind of creating just a little bit of a parking issue right now, but we do intend to do a core test tomorrow. I think the weather, it was warm over the weekend, but I think there was a little bit of concern around the cooler weather yesterday morning, and so we'll test it to see if it's able to sustain, of course, our MRI truck and vendors and things like that. So if we don't open this week, it should be next week. We certainly don't want to avoid our concrete flooring, so large
When did they pour?
Thursday, last Thursday.
Yeah, you don't want to have vehicles on it for probably 2-3 weeks.
So we're just waiting to go to the core test to see what it says, and then we'll go from there. Because the MRI truck does use that in drive as they come in, so. Basically, we should be wrapping up the project by the end of May or June 1st is our set target. And so as you can see, lots of new changes. So really the remaining projects are Dr. Nastrom and what will be Dr. Hardin's, we call them pods, or their office areas, as well as the PT core area. So right now, they have moved into the new area, and they're just renovating that core area. And it'll, match up nicely, so, yeah. We have had a speech therapist join our team. She has been a great asset to us. We're sharing her, actually, with Ward County. So we do not have the speech therapy needs to employ someone full-time on our own, but we have been, as you know, sharing with Cresco, or Regional Health of Howard County, but this is.
Where's she from?
She's from Wellesley.
Okay.
Yes. So, yeah, it's been a great, so it's kind of nice to be working with these other two healthcare organizations to offer services to our residents that we may not be able to afford one full-time person on our own, but,
Can I ask her name?
Kelly, and I cannot remember her last name off the top of my head. Betty, do you have her name?
No, I,
Okay, all right. I can always count on Betty,
Don't
she
feel
knows.
bad, I have the same problem.
So any questions about the project at all?
No, it looks perfect.
But I do have questions,
Okay, all right.
and maybe this is not the place and the time to ask him this, but my understanding is Dr. Ross is getting fairly close to retirement. Is there any,
Dr. Ross has not announced any,
okay, that's really
timeframe.
good, probably.
Yeah, so, well, and I think we all kind of, estimate what we think, but we do continue, obviously recruiting. We did have a site visit scheduled, I don't know, probably a month ago, and that person canceled. But just so you know, we are in dialogue with about 6 people on an ongoing basis. We have 3 that are certainly interested.
And that person would be at the St. Ansgar Clinic?
So-
I mean,
We've been having some discussion about that, yes. So we have committed to the St. Ansgar community, there will be a position there, obviously. But one of the issues that we do have, and that we have been talking about, is who goes there. So as residents come out, so if it is a new resident, that hasn't, obviously they do get rotations in the emergency room. So there's advantage to them working in Osage part-time. So what we may do is have two different positions in St. Ansgar while one trains in the ER, just because you have that access to,
Fancy memory.
intubate patients and things like that, you're not necessarily gonna get, right? And so it may be a shared between two different providers, so they haven't worked out all the details, but we definitely have committed to the St. Ansgar community.
Because that's the one thing that I get calls on.
I'm sure, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and we've committed to that. Betty and I went up to talk to folks not too long ago, and we talked about that, so. But Dr. Ross has not announced any kind of a date or anything like that yet. But like I said, we do continue to recruit.
Well,
Two
I
of the
think he's
recruits-
very talented. I mean,
Yes.
I enjoy Dr. Ross.
Yes, two of the potential residents are from this area,
From where?
from around northern Iowa.
Oh, okay.
So, and the other one is not from northern Iowa, but did a rotation with Dr. Urquhart. He's also interested. Two of them would be available in 2020, and one would be available in 2020. So,
And Lowell, did we get the other two doctors paid up? I mean, we promised.
I'll ask Gina, for sure.
Yeah.
I think you did too, but let me ask Gina.
Yeah, because I don't want to let that slip through the cracks. I mean, if we made a promise, again, the promise is a promise, no matter how small.
We appreciate it. Any other
Okay,
questions?
you followed what Jennifer Andrea is trying to do with citizens of America, Puerto Rico. Your comments? Do you have any comments?
Yeah, actually, I've had multiple conversations with Jennifer around that. I would say for us, we have been pretty fortunate as far as workforce. We do have, I think, some CNA issues, so getting enough medical assistance, but we have two kind of in the queue right now, so that we hope that we'll be hiring in the future. And then sometimes some ER night coverage or ER nursing coverage is probably our areas that we're shorter. And sometimes we'll struggle with entry level positions as well. But for the most part, I would say we've been successful. We generally get a number of applicants when we have job openings. So we haven't had the same struggles that some other organizations or, some other companies in Mitchell County have experienced. So, but we also offer IFRS, which is a huge recruiting tool. For us, it sets us apart within the healthcare industry for sure. And that is something that we certainly tout as we're, as we try to recruit people. So we haven't had the need at this point, really. So, but I think it's a great idea.
Any of your potential employees in that, have they had major concerns on housing, finding housing? Has housing been an issue for,
Yes.
and can you expound on that?
Yeah, we have a new, a regional, we're sharing someone with Cresco as far as our regional operating room position. And so she works part-time in Cresco and part-time in Osage. And she talked about the struggle for housing even in Howard County. But we do hear that from people who are potentially moving here. We just hired someone recently, and just housing does come up, renting comes up continuously.
Has Mercy ever given it any thought about acquiring a home or homes for its employees for housing?
You mean, so Mitchell County, you mean?
Or in Howard County, Mitchell County?
We have not. I shouldn't say that we have not talked about it, because I think Jennifer and I have talked about it, just as throwing out ideas, but we've not. We do have a house that we use when residents come, obviously the one across the street. And so medical students and residents both use that. We also use that for, some of our employees will sleep there if they're there for a weekend rotation. But the primary use is for medical students and residents. have not talked about them.
Okay. Betty?
Well, you said for their employees, for the most part, the employees at the hospital and the clinics are our employees, except for the few that in 1994, when there was such a flux and people were worried that worked at the hospital, whether they'd have a job or not, then some of those people transitioned over because they were with the clinic. They weren't on IPERS, they were with the clinic, and they became Mercy employees. And as those people leave, as they retire, and the new hires, they become our employees. We don't have, I mean, Mercy,
15.
we only have a Mercy management agreement and a physician agreement. We, you know, and Shelley is our only, at this time, on the MSA, she's absolutely the only Mercy employees that call for a CEO, CFO, and a CNO. Well, our chief financial officer, Greg Burkle, decided that he wanted to be a Metro County employee, which we allowed, and our CNO, our chief nursing officer, it was Judy Brown, and she'd always been with the hospital, and why would she want to give up her IPERS? And we asked her to just for an interim, take that position and see if she'd like it. She decided that she'd stay in that she would take the position. So we only have Shelley as a Mercy employee on that MSA agreement. But,
I think we have 15 employees that are employed by Mercy, otherwise everybody else is employed.
and most of them are, a lot of them are in St. Ansgar, aren't
Yes,
they?
yes.
Because, yeah,
But
The
it's been
Mercy.
stated when they do retire or leave, then we replace them.
so there'd be no reason for Mercy to, you know, probably come up with housing. We'd like them to come up with some help for our building project.
What was just a thought that, you know, and it's been brought up that we need housing and sometimes, and I think differently than Stan, if it comes to the point where employers have a stake in this too, it isn't necessarily the government's job to supply homes. So, and again, we have difference of opinion.
Well, the one thing about housing, and I realize, like you say, that we're going to put $2 million in the next 2 years towards it, but houses do generate property taxes. And basically, in St. Ansgar, that Seasons Edition, I mean, I don't think the public fully understands that after 12 and a half years, that equivalent money that was gone into the Seasons Edition has come back in property taxes. Well, in the next 12 and a half years, that generates again, and that's all in the plus. I mean, so it's not like when you put a road in, you pave a road, basically in 20 years that money's gone, the road is gone, and you have to come up. I mean, this keeps generating additional money, which that is the difference in with housing. It actually generates taxes and.
I agree. And I just firmly believe it's something we need to be proactive with.
Now, I've heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but the houses on Golf Course, I've heard some of those are already spoken for too. So some of those meetings that come up, I don't know if that's true or not. But I do think it's interesting that, you know, they're able to move relatively quickly.
Betty?
Well, I want to put in another 2 cents worth. We continue to work on raising the $2 million capital, having a $2 million capital campaign, which started to be a 5-year project. I mean, people could pledge for 5 years, they could give a one-time gift, whatever, and I'm working very hard on that. And we are still under $1 million. And my fear is that once people see that it's done, that they say, oh, well, you know, when we approach people, well, they don't need any more money, it's done. Well, yes, we do. We need to, you know, to help pay for the thing. And the other thing is, and I just didn't want to mention this because as a 347 hospital by code, we are allowed to certify taxes, not levy, we're not a levying body, but certify taxes, of which we do not to the board, but to the auditor. And the law says then he certifies them to state. But we are allowed by code to, we can certify taxes for all of the employer's share of FICA, of IPERS, all of the insurance that we have, along with the 27 cents per thousand valuation on all property for general and 27 cents for ambulance. And I want to tell you, because I'm so proud of this, we certify the 27 cents for general, the 27 cents for ambulance, and we only certify a portion of FICA. And our levy, the levy itself has stayed the same since as far back as I could look. And I know when I got on the board of trustees, I said, as long as I'm here, that levy will never raise. Well, each year we do get a little bit more money because the valuation has gone up, you know, more new housing and stand-those and so on. And so we do get a little more valuation. But I would tell you that I think it's a real bargain because I look at what other 347 hospitals are doing for taxes. And I even look at the 347A hospitals that can't certify taxes, but they can go to their board of supervisors and ask for money when they don't have enough to cover the expense of their bonds and interest and then to manage the hospital. And what they're asking for is far more. We're probably we're in the best shape of any of the network hospitals. And I would say that I attribute a lot of that to the team that we have. I really do. Greg Burkle is probably the most outstanding CFO that you'd want to have. And Shelley, our management team, everybody. Your wife, you know, I look at everybody that works there. It's a happy place to work, and they all, Shelley has provided something that, I mean, I've watched this. You know, everybody up there has a stake, I think, in the finance, because they've all kind of been involved in hearing what it takes to run the place and their departments. And they're always all looking out for those. So, but I did want to just say that we are not raising anywhere near what we could, and we are not going to either.
And we have a great board of trustees.
But we're still raising money, so anybody here that would like to get to the $2 million capital campaign, see me.
Make sure that Mary Piper writes that in the paper, that you're still looking for donations.
Well, I'm still seeing people. I mean, I have lists of people to see. And we have a committee, you know. But it's, you know, those things go slow. And I like to raise money, but, you know.
Well, one group feeds off of another, and when you have a progressive group that is really making progress in that, I mean, and that, like I say, feeds off of other. The last 2 years, again, we've had people from Iowa State University up here explaining that we're one of the few rural counties that continue to grow, and again, part of that is for the hospital is what they're doing, part of it is what the board of supervisors are doing, that we're not sitting back and we're not just caretakers. We're making things happen in a positive way.
And the other thing that Shelley didn't mention, but I mean, they are continually looking for new ways to serve the public by bringing in more services. And so, you know, I mean, when she mentioned the speech therapists and so on, and respiratory therapy, and we've looked at, there's a lot of things that we're looking at, you know, and
So
it's,
as kind of a side note, Dr. Klock, who's an anesthesiologist over in Mason City, is going to be starting here May 20th, and then he'll start doing pain procedures here in June. So, and I think I mentioned this before, but we have a referral log, so every patient who gets referred out of our community, we track that and we look at it, we report on it every Tuesday to see where our patients are going and what services they're getting when they go there, and that helps us determine, you know, where our highest, you know, what are people needing
Future
for, and so
plans.
what do we need to bring to our community in order to, and Dr. Clock is one of those services, so we're excited.
Well, we're getting close to the end of the fiscal year. I would assume you're getting reports, and that, how is the financial situation of the hospital as of the last report you've had? I mean,
So,
are you
like, this
basically
Yeah, we have about a 1% operating margin right now. So,
But, our revenue's up and
oh yeah, definitely. Clinic visits are up, yes. So basically, you know, we really, if you looked at our revenue in total, Stan, 92, 93% of our revenue is coming from our outpatient, our clinic side. So the other 8% is coming from the inpatient side. So we really are a clinic with a small hospital. And so much of our business is all ambulatory side, so, you know, imaging and lab and clinic. So therapy. So surgery, our surgery is probably, well, this month I know it's more than double what it has been. So we've seen a lot of increase in our surgical volume.
The other thing, and I know that you people are probably aware of this, but I mean, if we look at that Medicaid situation, and I'm telling you, with another MCO leaving the state and bringing in Centene, who has been, they've had nothing but problems everywhere they've been. So we have a whole bunch of people that were on the plan that is leaving the state. So then it's up to, Shelley, you might tell them how you're taking care of notifying all of those people to make sure that they still are approved for Medicaid.
Yeah, so we do, of course, the letters went out, and so people were assigned, and then now with them leaving, people are gonna have to be reassigned. So we have a task force that helps people get reassigned. And right now, we don't have a contract with Centene. It's in negotiations in Des Moines right now, but we haven't signed that yet. So that is something that we're committed to try to do. Obviously, there's, you don't have to, I went to a Chickasaw County kind of listening session not too long ago, and they were talking about the ambulance services, and so their ambulance service won't take Medicaid patients on transfers now because the reimbursement is so poor. So there's a number of issues with the MCOs, and we continue to struggle. You know, obviously, that we're making it work because we're committed to that, you know, our Medicaid population, and so, but we definitely try to help them with that transition.
Thank you. Does anybody have any comments for Shelley? Questions? If not, Shelley, thank you for your
Yeah, thank you, Kate.
presentation.
We'll
Appreciate
come
it.
back and give you an update on financials too. Next, we're doing quarterly though right now, right? Cool. Okay.
Thank you,
I
Shelley.
always appreciate it.
Yes. Thanks, Betty, too.
Oh, yes.
Oh, always my backup.
Take
Well,
care.
I look at the agenda, and when I see the hospitals on, then I come, because after all, that's part of my responsibility.
So in other words, if we want you at a meeting, we just put down hospital, and even if we don't invite,
Well, I'll tell you, as an elected official on the Board of Trustees, I do feel a responsibility, you know.
Thank you, Betty, for coming.
It looks beautiful.
Okay,
It's exciting,
items
isn't it?
of note,
We're so happy.
meetings attended.
before that, can I,
Okay, yes, Stanley?
Tony, have you been in contact with, John Danos to try to get, moving on the housing thing?
Yes, and he gave the okay on the guidelines that we had, that we edited. He approved that, and so we have put out for application for participants in the program that is moving forward.
Did he give you any indication on when we're supposed to be having the first hearing here, or?
He did not. I did ask, and he didn't have any dates yet, but it is moving
And
forward.
when did you contact him?
That was last week,
Okay.
earlier in the week. Actually, I think it may have been late in the week prior, so it was like on Friday night I talked to him.
All right,
But it is moving forward.
okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Chairman Smalley.
Okay. Now we'll do items of note and meetings attended. If Bart would like to start,
Well, I briefed my notes because they were so long last week, I could see people glazing over. So County Social Services, the Executive and Human Service Committees, of which I was elected to, that human service part, had a meeting to hash out the new employee handbook in West Union, and it was very thorough, let's put it that way. And I had an economic development meeting. Much of the talk was on the housing applications, and I will now be on the committee that looks over those housing applications. And that's all I got.
Stanley.
I had no official meetings, but I've been working with a couple of individuals up in St. Ansgar. Again, they're trying to get a new development area that actually is affordable, and that's why then we had Engineer Brum as a private individual working on the water issues up there, flooding issues, and giving his opinion. And we're making some progress on that. And, again, even my understanding is in Osage here, that must have been a couple of weeks ago, that the mayor and the city clerk and a couple other people have been trying to come up with a location for a new development here in Osage as well, which is good. I mean, that means we're moving forward on vital issues, so.
Okay.
And a quick question for Lowell, did Gloria Brinkman get hold of you as far as being on the agenda next week? Or has she been on the agenda?
Gloria Brings,
Brink, sorry.
she was today.
It's supposed to have been
Okay,
today.
yeah, she tried getting hold of you, and for some reason she had the wrong number. Anyway, she called me, and she couldn't remember it was gonna be on this week or next week, and she doesn't want on next week either. They've got some personal health problems, so.
Rich was referring to that she just needs to contact you.
Okay, and I'll pass that on to her, who can reinforce that to you.
Okay, my meeting, I had a short one with Alan. Well, it wasn't short. We'll talk about it quick. They hauled out of their tanks the dead hog liquid, the most potent, powerful stuff there is. They got that took care of and hauled out.
We smelled it, Easter morning.
That was the other stuff. Yeah, the names of really bad stuff was hauled out before you got with the other. Anyways, they hauled Saturday, well, they hauled Saturday, Sunday, but they've been hauling straight through. Smith Ag's been hauling, and they're gonna put on the tricklers, which is supposed to mist, and foggers to alleviate some of that stench, but apparently some of it's not through. And it was supposed to be no smell on Easter. Apparently they were wrong.
7:30 in the morning.
So, anyways,
Saturday afternoon too. It's awful.
yeah, okay, well, I'll bring that up.
The winds were out of the south, so it brought her.
Yeah. Anyways, that was my meeting attended. Manure management plan update. Oh, was there any other comments on that?
On ballot, have they done that program where they emptied the tanks and put their stirrers in and all that jazz, or is
They're
that
trying to
about
get
it?
everything done right now. Mother Nature has been slowing that down. They haven't been able to get their tanks. That's why they hauled straight through here, days and nights.
What the target on that was for last fall, or wasn't to be done?
But Mother Nature hasn't allowed them to, we went from wet muddy fields to snow on top of them, and you couldn't get out in there because they weren't froze down below. And then we went, same thing this spring, we went from 4 foot, 6 foot of snow to thunderstorms, and they couldn't get out in the fields. And that's why they're racing the last few days to get going.
Isn't the new target like Memorial Weekend or something, or May 1st?
Mother Nature doesn't allow them to pour their concrete
Well,
and stuff.
that's what they told us. They shouldn't have given a date then.
They're trying. Again, weather isn't doing them any good.
I know, but they should take that into consideration when they're giving dates, that they're claiming that it's supposed to be done, because that's what we tell people. They're asking. So they're gonna be in a lot of trouble again. Everything's gonna be in our uproar if it's not taken care of by then.
Yeah. Well, again, that manager out there knows that if he doesn't make the people in town here happy, his head's gonna roll. I mean, he's brought it up, that other plants, this Sumoto, the name of the parent company, they don't horse around with their top guns in these plants. If they do not get things resolved, they lose their job. So he's thoroughly, fully aware of the situation. So he's trying his best. Mother Nature's getting in there and none of us can control her. So anyways, manure management plan updates, Lowell.
Borderline Buildings LLC, northeast side, 5059 Addison Avenue, Riceville. Borderline Buildings, southwest side, 3327 500 Street, Carpenter North, 5473 Avenue, Riceville. DCI site has a new ownership, called Simply Essentials Incorporated. That's in section 11 of Cedar East Township. Friesen Farms East, 2699 390th Street, Osage. Friesen Farms North, 2059 420th Street, Osage. Friesen Farms Northeast, 2281 410th Street, Osage. Friesen Farms Liberty 34 site, 2552 110th Street, Osage. Garden, 12338 Garden Avenue, Elma. Overson Fisher Farm, 4830 Epic Avenue, St. Ansgar, and Jack's Dairy. That's in Adams, Minnesota.
That's all we have in Lowell. Oh gosh, we did quite a stack today. Yeah.
Whoops, couple more. Summer, 460th Street, McIntyre. And Wilt Finisher Farm, 3151 500th Street, McIntyre.
Okay, thank you, Lowell. Do we have any other public comments?
I got a question.
Go ahead, Al.
I was wondering, Supervisor Walk, give us an update on the Port Authority, as far as the last meeting that was held, any, discussions or business that was handled, and how we get informed of this, because I asked to be put on the email list, but I've been taken off, I guess. Care to give us a little update on this?
Well, first of all, on the email list, I'm no longer secretary, so you have to contact, Melissa.
I will say, I think you're a representative from this county on that board, so I think we can simply ask you.
No, I'm not the one that does your work for you. You contact the right people and,
But Stan, from
I am
our
not-
county, you are the representative
I'm not-
on that board,
I'm not
so you
your,
are first
I'm not
contact.
your runner. I'm not here to run for you to ask somebody else and get back to you. You ask them directly. You have the right to ask them directly, and you do it directly.
Who is this person then?
Melissa, she's with Winworth Becko.
Stan, I emailed her, I copied you on email, I've received no response. I'm asking you, as Mitchell County's representative, will you follow up and get this answer?
Here's a letter from County Attorney Walk. You've seen it before, you can have it again.
So what's the latest on the Port Authority then?
We haven't met for a couple of months.
What day was the last meeting?
I couldn't tell you right offhand.
I got one more
The
question.
records are right next door here.
Oh, well, so we'll look at them then afterwards.
Well, you go ahead and look at them.
I got one other question. I got a resolution number 996-17 from November 7th, 2017. I'd add, you guys probably don't know anything about this before your time. But it states that the board directed a loan in the amount of $400,000 be advanced for the funding of the gas pipeline study project from local option sales tax. This loan shall be repaid from the local option sales tax to the local option sales tax without interest out of future incremental property tax revenues to be received into the tax increment fund. Have these transactions happened? Has that money been, advanced and paid to the Port Authority, this $400,000? Where in the process is this $400,000?
You have been told before, and I'll tell you again, you talked to Deputy Auditor Barb Baldwin, she holds the records.
And you don't follow this, Stan, you don't know
I
anything
am not
about
the
this?
one that holds the records. You wanna see what's actually happening, you go to the person that holds the records. No,
But
what you're
this
trying to
gas
do is you're trying to make
pipeline
no,
project-
you're trying to make an ass out of me is what you're trying to do, and you're trying to do it, but no, you've been working on
I'm
this
not
for a long,
saying-
yes, you are.
I'm trying to
No,
get
I'm tired
information,
of
and
you
I
trying
ask
to,
questions.
I'm tired of you trying to twist things. You've been told how many times, the records are right next door.
And I've asked for the records. I
Well,
have
then
not
why don't you
received
go
them.
over
I'm asking
and
you.
talk to Barb? You're talking to the wrong person.
Aren't you a county supervisor?
Like I said, you talk directly to him. She's the one that holds the records. I'm not your go-between.
I guess I can't get any answers.
No, you can get the answers, you don't wanna get the answers, that's the problem.
Well, anyways, I think we're at, right now, we're kind of at a standstill on this right here, so, Al, maybe sneak across over there and see if you can get your information you need for today, and we'll, proceed on that. Would that be okay, Al?
I've tried, so I don't know what to do anymore at this point.
Okay. Do we have any other issues, comments? If not, we'll call this meeting